Hi there, my sweet sister. Yeah, it's me. I'm real. I hope you're doing well. I hope everyone's doing well. The world is a crazy place. So your question here, everything is so complex. It is. It's very confusing. So when we look at these shots, and keep in mind they're all made a little differently, and now they have aerosol ones. So they all have some basic components. We have our synthetic mRNA. We have modified lipid nanoparticles. We have hydrogel. We have carbon-based quantum dots. And then, of course, luciferase. So all of those things kind of have like a position and a part to play in a bigger picture. So if you can imagine, we have synthetic mRNA that's basically wrapped in a little bubble, which are the modified lipid nanoparticles. Those modified lipid nanoparticles are then carried in the hydrogel, also with carbon-based quantum dots and luciferase. So I'm going to explain this to folks the way that I understand it. I'm just a layperson, and I found a lot of answers when I dug into like how these things are manufactured, which is very difficult information to find. It's a good thing I'm a geek. Okay, so first we start with that synthetic mRNA, which we know slightly changes the DNA. But that synthetic mRNA is wrapped in that modified lipid nanoparticle. So how is it modified? And that's what I had to go find. So when you look at a lipid nanoparticle, which is fat, it's a fat particle. On a molecular level, you have certain molecular components that comprises that molecule. And what they have done is they remove just small little elements of that molecular structure, and they have replaced it with elements from a different molecular structure, such from gold or copper. I could not find exactly what they used, but they replace these molecular elements with elements that are electromagnetically conductive. So essentially what they do, if you could imagine like that lipid nanoparticle, imagine it like a bracelet with electromagnetic ends. So what happens is when it goes into the body, that the electromagnetic charge is released somehow. I believe it's due to heat. It's like heat sensitive. And then essentially what you end up with is like a string with a north and a south pole. And all of those tiny little strings find each other and connect. And that's what kind of builds like the wiring in the body. And that's where the carbon-based quantum dots come in. The carbon-based quantum dots are for sensing, imaging, and conveying information. And those carbon-based quantum dots kind of sit all along that intrabody nano network, the wiring, okay? And they're collecting and sensing all different forms of biophysical data. The luciferase lights up different data centers, different genetic markers, different genetic indicators. And the hydrogel, which in most of these things is polyethylene glycol, but hydrogel can be made out of different components. But polyethylene glycol seems to be the main one. That's like the carrier agent for all of these different components. And all of these different components kind of have a different part to play in the mechanism of this whole thing. And people should know, because I don't want nobody should be fearful, okay? But knowledge is power. But for right now, these These things do biodegrade in the body. That's why they need to keep getting it in people. Okay, so it does biodegrade. Now, unfortunately, any genetic changes don't. All right. And unfortunately, so what happens here? So all of this data is being sensed, and it is being absorbed into the cloud. And at this point right now, it's dangerous because it's all being fed into global sentient systems, quantum systems. And the level of damage that quantum systems can do with data and information, particularly individualized data and information. I mean, essentially, these things have the capacity of building avatars within their own system of each and every single one of us based upon any and all data that is collected from us. So it then has the capacity to pre-predict our actions, reactions, beliefs, and then has the capacity to literally manipulate each and every single one of us individually through the information that we are all fed via our devices, basically forming our beliefs. Because in the human world, our beliefs control our actions. So if it has the capacity to manipulate our beliefs, it has the capacity to manipulate our actions individually. And these quantum systems are so powerful that they have the capacity to do this on a national level, and very soon a global level. Okay, but with the current place that we are at, does the system have the capacity to literally take control of a human being? Which is the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is that human beings will become host devices for AI, and the AI will literally control the human being via whatever agendas are established by the system or the technocrats. And what that requires is a CPU. So even though the data in our current place is being sensed, and a lot of damage can be done with that information that's being collected, the control factor isn't there, okay? And that's because carbon-based quantum dots and copper-based quantum dots, they kind of serve different functions and have different abilities. Although the data is currently being sensed, it's not being individualized and authenticated. So if you can imagine this, just like your phone, okay? It's really the same thing. Human bodies are being prepared to become devices. So just like your phone. So if you take the SIM card out of your phone, if you take the chip out of your phone, it still has a certain capacity to process data, share data. It still has a certain level of connection into the internet, okay? But it does not have the capacity to individualize and authenticate the data. And it does not have the capacity to really communicate with the cloud and allow the cloud to communicate back to the device. That requires a chip. And unfortunately, I mean, when it comes to a chipping process, I don't want people to get imagery in their minds, okay? Because that can come through a shot, okay? Copper-based quantum dots can be injected and then literally configure themselves within the body, and also go straight onto the brain. But we're not there yet. All of those things are going to come with the switching of a currency system. Okay, because they know everybody's going to do anything they can to participate in a currency system. And they also know that everybody, in order to participate in the currency system, they know that everybody will also continue to take as many shots as they need to take, eat food. Okay, they're starting to put this stuff in our food. They don't need to import avocados from Mexico anymore. They can grow avocado cells in a petri dish, 3D print them, incorporate the mRNA in them, and put them into the market. And that takes care of the biodegradation of this Intrabody Nano Network. But the chipping is going to come with the currency system. That's going to secure people into it.